This is a Bulldog Radio podcast.
0096. 2251.
Now, what I'm going to read you next may upset some of you, but it's absolutely true.
There are loads of facts. The public hasn't been informed. The time to start is now.
0096.
They know this is real. I believe they know more than they're letting on. And I believe they have a good reason not to make it all public.
8105 0096.
Welcome back, listener, to The Pod is Out There until the government shuts us down.
We're recording live from Roanoke Island.
We swear to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth in this podcast.
My name is Gamma,
And I am the Nose.
I am Slick.
and on today's episode we'll be talking and discussing about the Michigan Dogman. But first off, we have some paranormal news, which I will be reading to you today. So, in Oregon, 5 bulls were found dead, and the story just gets a little weirder. See, just reading from the article, this is in Salem, Oregon. The first dead bull was found in a timbered ravine in eastern Oregon. There was no indication it had been shot, attacked by predators, or eaten poisonous plants. The animal's sex organs and tongue had been removed, and all the blood was gone.
Poor cow.
Poor cow. And that's 5 different cows on separate occasions, all like that. That can't be
All
a
in
coincidence.
recent
That's
time.
baloney.
That's baloney. I like
Oh
it.
my God.
I like you, Slick. Let's see. There was no tracks near the carcasses. Law enforcement suspect that someone killed the bulls, and ranch hands have been advised to travel in pairs and go armed.
Law enforcement would say that. Freaking government conspirators.
It's true. It's true. They don't want us to know the truth.
Nope.
But we, of the pod is out there, want you, the listener, to know the truth.
Which is that we don't know. We don't know what the truth is, but we want you to know that that's probably not the truth.
Exactly. Later in this, here's a quote from the owner of the cows. To lose a completely healthy animal would be an oddity, Marshall said. To lose 5 young, very healthy, in great shape, perfect bulls that were all basically the same age, that is so outside the bounds of normal activity. Marshall suspects the bulls were darted with a tranquilizer and then knocked out. While some people act as lookouts, others bled the animals by inserting a large gauge needle into the tongue and into an artery, then removed the organs after the heart had stopped. And then another one of the workers says, personally, I would lean more towards the occult, where people, for whatever reason, whether it's phase of the moon or whatever rituals they're doing with their beliefs, are coming to different areas and doing that.
See, I'm all for you, like, doing some sacrifice and stuff, but leave the poor animals out of it.
Right? Especially if they don't belong to you. If you want to, practice different rituals, use your own chickens.
Get your own bowl.
Right.
That's bullshit.
Did you guys see my video the other day?
No.
Okay, so we were Pokemon going at like 10 p.m. it was, I believe, and we went to the park, and there were like a bunch of people with like sticks on fire, and they were just in a circle like behind their cars, and like we parked to get the gym or whatever, and they like all looked at us, and one of them started like walking up to us with his like fire, so we like skirted out of there real fast because it seemed like some cult stuff was going on
You
there.
almost just got sacrificed.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was in a CVS parking lot. This was when I was in California, and I'm walking into the CVS, and you know how you kind of walk through the parking lot, you kind of look at the cars.
Yeah.
Well, one of the cars was a clown.
There was
Oh
just
my
a clown in
God.
the car.
Just a clown in the
I
car,
can't.
and like this looked like not like a regular like happy clown. This looked like maybe like a ICP kind of gigolo kind of clown, and it was just literally staring at me, and I was terrified.
That's
Nope. Don't fuck with clowns.
Don't fuck with
Oh,
clowns.
wait. Can we say the F word?
Yeah, we can say the F
Oh,
word.
sweet. Fuck.
Yeah.
The government can't shut us down for the F word.
No.
Freedom of speech.
We're not bound to the rules of the FCC.
Haha.
The government has no control of our thoughts or our minds, of our words.
Good thing we have these tinfoil hats.
Hell yeah, brother.
Okay. Do we want to get into our topic that we chose today?
Yeah, let's get into the Dogman.
All right, cool. So I guess I'll start. The Dogman is something that I've known about for a long time. I think I just wanted. Did you guys know about it before I told you about it?
I did not.
I had heard a little bit about it, but I hadn't really heard a lot about it.
Okay. Because the reason I know is from where I'm from in Michigan, undisclosed location government. It is more northern though, and the Dogman is a big deal up there, and it's a very like every Halloween it's a big story, or they play the song every year that's been made, but then every 7 years 10 years that ends on the 7, which is supposed to be the alleged time the Dogman comes out, it becomes even more of a thing. So it's just a legend that I grew up with.
Let's go into the history of the Dogman nose. Do you want to go into that?
Yeah. So the history, as far as I know, is the first sighting was, I believe it was 1887, between the first reported sighting, or the first sighting that people talk about, was a bunch of lumberjacks that were just, they were chasing what they thought was just a dog in the middle of the woods. I think it was at night, so I couldn't really see it. And when they finally got it trapped in a log, they went to try and go, get it out. They started poking it with sticks, and all of a sudden, it let out a shriek that did not sound anything like a dog. And I believe it started to come out and stand up, and that's when they ran away. But, and also the biggest thing with it is that no one's ever been reported to be injured by one or killed. It's just whenever it just seems that everyone is just very frightened by it every time.
Yeah, I read that they like to like come out at night when people are like in the forest and just kind of stalk them, not like hurt them.
Yeah.
Just stare at them or like stalk them to scare them, but they never really do harm.
Yeah, I think the only stories where there's harm involve like sightings that happen on a road where like someone sees it while they're driving, and that spooks them and causes them to crash. So it's nothing that the animal isn't attacking. It's just the sight of it has spooked someone to crash their car. So the Dogman has been part of Michigan lore for a very long time, really since that story that the nose talked about. But it was kind of on the back of people's minds, not really in the forefront until I think it was the 60s or the 70s with Steve Cooks.
I believe the 70s.
70s and 77. A radio DJ in northern Michigan basically wrote a song about the Dogman, about these encounters, and he did it initially as an April Fool's joke, but people, like after playing it a couple times on the station, people would call in to the station and would tell the station about their Dogman experiences, and kind of brought up Dogman fever essentially in the area. And the recording itself got really popular at the time.
And also the interesting thing about it is that he claims to have made the song with no knowledge that that was actually already a folklore. He says that he recorded it just, as an April Fool's joke, and then all of a sudden he realized that, there was actually a thing called the Dogman that people believed in around the area. So and a lot of his story, like in the song, he gives different examples of sightings and things, which some of them are from the stories that people have told about the Dogman itself, and then some of them are also taken from other stories that have been told about other animals, such as like Bigfoot sightings and other paranormal sightings that he just turns into Dogman sightings.
Maybe he's the Dogman.
Maybe.
He's just covering his tracks.
Exactly. He's got them feet of dog.
Dog feet?
Dog feet, yeah. So another thing about that.
Don't die, Gamma.
I won't die.
The government's giving you the plague.
I know. I gotta stop drinking in those chemtrails. Infiltrating my sweet, sweet air.
Not your air.
Not my air. Anyway, so what's really interesting in what I guess we haven't really brought a description of the Dogman as much.
True.
From most accounts, it's a very, very tall, like 7 to 10 foot creature that is mostly the body of a dog with a very long snout, but it stands on its hind legs, and its arms, as it were, are kind of elongated and have long claws. What's really interesting about that is a lot of people don't think that's either like a skinwalker, a wendigo, or even like a werewolf. Like a lot of people believe that this is a separate creature altogether.
Right. Well, I think also what separates it from a werewolf is that the description of a Dogman is that it doesn't change between man and dog, is that it is always a Dogman.
Right, and with like skinwalkers and wendigos, especially wendigos, that is very tied into Native American magic and shamanism. I think for a wendigo to become a wendigo, there has to be an act of cannibalism. I don't believe that's the same case for a skinwalker, but it's both are involved with magic, and so I think because the Dogman exists as a entity that was not born a man or woman, but was always what it was, that kind of distinguishes it against other types of dog-like creatures.
Mm. Can I say I really like the way you say skinwalker?
Skinwalker?
Just say it real slow. Not that slow.
Skinwalker?
I don't know. You say walker weird.
Walker?
Yeah, walker.
Walker?
Wait, how do I say it? Walker.
Walker?
Maybe I say it weird.
Skinwalker?
Walker.
Waka waka?
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Off topic.
The nose, you're leading me astray.
Follow your nose. The fruity taste aglows. I don't remember what it was.
What are you talking about?
The Fruit Loops, the toucan.
Oh, yeah. Toucan Sam?
Yeah. He's not a dog man. He's just a toucan.
What if he was a dog man?
What if it's a toucan man?
Oh, shit.
He can talk.
I'm dead. Okay. So
What do you got, Slick?
kind of like about what you're saying.
Get up closer.
This is okay. About like what you were saying. This is kind of like what people think, or like how, or what people think how they came about, or how people. Okay.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So like back in the 1860s, the Cheyenne Native American tribe, there was like a group of warriors known as the Dog Soldiers or Dogmen, and they would spend years studying to become like one with the dog spirit kind of thing. And people think that the U.S. killed off the rest of the tribe, but people think that some of them, like some of the dog warriors or dog men, survived and now shapeshifted into what's now the dog man, and like they roam the woods and the swamplands now. So that's just an interesting story of how they could have came about.
Yeah, and it also kind of corresponds with another thing I read. It was actually Steve Cook, the guy who wrote the song. He talked with an elder from the Ottawa Chippewa tribe, and what they believe is that it was a shape-shifting skinwalker tribe who got stuck between both, their animal and human form. So, I mean, that kind of corresponds to that a little bit. So, there could be some truth to it.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
You know, I really find like Native American folklore very interesting and honestly very, very scary.
Right.
Like, it's some of the scariest folklore I've seen, and like at least with their monsters. I don't know why like other cultures and monsters aren't as scary to me, but like the Wendigo and the Skinwalker are definitely something that seems just to be more scary, and you know, Dogman just also seems to be a more kind of a scary creature in general as far as cryptids go, which is kind of a change of pace with like Bigfoot. A lot of people not confuse, but see the Dogman and Bigfoot are generally close in appearance from what people's reports are. So a lot of people can mix them up. And I think the Dogman is just a little scarier than Bigfoot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think also just the idea of dog, because I mean, like, you don't really see people have horror stories about Bigfoot. It's more just people looking for Bigfoot. Where with Dogman, there's people that if they say they've sighted it, they say it was like the scariest thing they've ever seen in their life.
Right.
And honestly, from what like depictions we have of Bigfoot and of Dogman, I think I'd be more afraid of a Dogman.
I'm actually shocked about how many like stories there is.
Yeah,
I didn't expect
lot.
there being that many stories of like encounters.
Absolutely. And you know, there's actually a lot of Dogman stories come from the upper Midwest, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio area, but when I was doing my research, that there was a lot of European, and it's kind of like grown throughout a lot of the world as these kind of creatures, or even just the nomenclature for this kind of creature has more leaned towards Dogman over other names.
Right. There's also even two stories that are very close to our current undisclosed location, that is mid-left Michigan. I think that's where we would put where we are. But there's one of a hunter who was out, he's a fisher, and as he was fishing, some wild dogs came up and started to harass him a little bit. So he shot a rifle in the air, and they all left besides one who stood up and just stared at him and then ran away, as well as a girl who was outside of her house trying to sneak a cigarette, as the kids do, and she noticed a light on in the barn, and as she went over to it, she realized that looking in, that there was a huge dog creature just standing there staring at her as she looked in. So I mean, there's just a lot of stories. Like I said, it was really something in northern Michigan that we heard a lot about all the time. But now reading that there's a lot of just sightings out all over the place, all over Michigan, like you said, all over the world.
So what do you think is more believable, Bigfoot or Dogman?
I don't know.
To me, I feel like Dogman is back to the Native American. Closer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I feel like I can hear myself, but I don't know. Anyways, but I feel like Dogman could be maybe like a spirit of the Native American, and like it just shows up to like stalk people and like haunt people, but it's like really not a real. It's not that it's not real, but like it just comes in a spirit form.
It's not
That's why it
corporeal.
can be everywhere in Michigan. It could just appear in spirit form to haunt someone, and then it just disappears. That's something I just thought of. I don't know.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Actually, I just saw an article today about the idea of Bigfoot being a spirit versus being physical, and I think that makes sense to me.
Yeah, same.
He's a ghost Bigfoot.
A ghost foot.
A ghost foot. But he's a spirit in what way?
Like how like what Slick was just saying with Bigfoot appearing at all different kinds of places. And
Yeah, like Bigfoot and Dogman.
Yeah.
How they appear all over Michigan, and
Yeah.
I've seen stories of other places too. It's not just Michigan,
Yeah.
but like forest areas mainly.
Mm-hmm. And Sasquatch is also a Native American
Right.
creature.
So
which,
they could just have multiple, like Dogman spirits from the Native Americans,
Mhm.
and maybe they're just haunting woods, and people just come upon the spirit, and not
Yeah.
actually a physical Dogman.
Well, also, if you think about it, like when we think of spirits and ghosts, we tend to think of them haunting their place of residence.
Right.
And, back in the pre-colonial America, Native Americans didn't really have the same kind of concept of property ownership, and they were more nomadic.
Right.
So it would make sense that if these are indeed spirits of those people, that it would be a wandering spirit and not tied to a specific location,
Right.
like we traditionally in Western thought think of ghosts and spirits.
For sure.
That also does make sense in the fact that, no encounters with either of these, encounters that can be verified and believable have ever ended in injury or harm to the person. They might, it's always, with Bigfoot or Dogman, there's the scariness factor to it, but there's never the injury or the physical factor. So, if, spirits are never, there are, malicious spirits in the sense that they can harm people or they have harmed people, or there's the chance, or if you believe it or not, that they could. But, most spirit that people believe in are usually not able to interact with the physical world in the way that we see in like ghost movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And that's what spirits do. Like, Dogman, he just stalks people and like stares at them. That's kind of what spirits do in like a lot of stories. They just kind of like haunt the person and like follow them and try to scare them. So it would make sense to me if it was just like a spirit or a ghost.
Absolutely, and I do believe that spirits can interact physically, depending on
There has to
what
be
type.
enough like energy and stuff.
Exactly, and because like you see so many stories of Dogman leaving scratches on doors, or Bigfoot
Yeah.
like messing with a camp.
Spirits in general like leave marks on people a lot.
Absolutely,
Right, yeah.
But I think it has to do with like the energy. I don't know. They feed on the person, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And maybe maybe that's why some people are more susceptible to seeing spirits, while others seem to repel spirits. Maybe it has something to do with their natural energy, like a magnet. Like some people could have like a positive magnetic energy, and then say another, like a spirit has the same kind of energy, they would repel each other.
Right.
And then maybe some people have the opposite, where they attract.
Now I really want to go into like a spirit and ghost like episode of the podcast.
Literally same. Though.
Maybe that's next podcast
Yeah.
Episode. We'll
This
do
makes me
spirits.
want to go to a Native American reserve and play a Ouija board and
Let's do an on location podcast.
Literally though, we should.
That
Oh
would
my
be
God.
that would be fun.
We should
That'd
get
be
a Ouija
crazy.
board and do it on the podcast.
Oh wow,
That would be
That would be
really
way
scary,
too-
but I would love to do that.
that would be intense. So let's read some actual encounters of Dogman. Do you guys have some you'd like to read? I've got a couple.
Most that I had were the ones I said already. So if you have a couple, I'll let you read them off.
I have a couple too.
Yeah, Slick, why don't you go ahead and get started?
Let me find a good one.
Or I've got one pulled up right here.
Okay, you go first.
Yeah, let's see. This is from a website. What's this website? Griswoldmountain.com. It's one of those websites where it's a black background and bright neon green text, so it's very hard to read. So I copied it onto a document so I could read it a little bit easier.
Very early 2000s.
Yeah, very, very early 2000s.
It looks like the episode, or the website that that Bella Swan and Twilight goes on to figure out if Edward's a vampire or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that I don't think Gabe has any idea what I'm talking about, but
No, I don't. Okay, so
for all
this
you
one.
lady listeners, you know.
Okay, so this is from a David Cahoe, posted on the 25th of November in 2008. And then he says, "The way that this story all fell together for me is just way too weird for this story to be untrue. About 3 years ago, my cousin Mike and I were dropping off his girlfriend and her friend after seeing a movie. It was about 11 o'clock, and we were going down this long gravel road that stemmed off another backcountry road. The long gravel road was about 2 miles long, and it led directly to his girlfriend's house. It was basically her driveway. After dropping them off and heading back up the driveway, we saw something off the side of the road about 100 yards or so away. At first, we just figured it was some sort of animal, so we flashed the brights on and off to scare it away. Once we got closer, maybe 20 yards away, we realized this wasn't anything we had seen before. Whatever it was stood up. Its back was massive and hunched over. Its legs were very skinny, and when it looked at us, its eyes glowed in the headlights. Scared to death, I just looked down. I didn't want to look at this thing. I was way too terrified. My cousin and I both sat there panicking. Do we turn the headlights off? What if we lose sight of it? Do we just turn the car off and let this thing walk away? What if there's another one and we can't start the car and get away fast enough? Do we hit it and keep driving? What if we don't kill it and it sits on the hood and tries to get in the car? As we both sat there in terror. I continued to watch it out of the top of my eyes. There was no way I was going to look directly at this, or if there was another one, I don't want to see it either. All I could really see of it was its skinny dog-like legs and its massive upper body. It stood there for a second and then just walked into the woods on 2 legs. Up until a while ago, when I told people about it, I told them that the only thing I remember were the ways its eyes shined back, its large, hunched-over back, and its skinny dog-like legs. When my cousin and I talked about it, we just tried to conclude that maybe it was a deformed bear or something. We had never heard of the Michigan Dogman before. The part of the story that gets weird is when I was talking to my friends back home just a few weeks ago. We were trying to get together a ghost hunting trip for when I came home on leave from San Diego with the Marines. I was online searching for Michigan hauntings and Michigan paranormal activity when I came across a story called Michigan Dogman. The police reports, the witness accounts, the drawings, everything matched perfectly. It was crazy to me that other people had seen what I saw that night. It had been about 3 years since then, and it was insane that just And it was insane that just now I'm finding such a perfect explanation. So that was from a David Coho from 2008.
Spooky.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, he hadn't even heard about the creature itself before, when he had seen the creature.
Weird stuff.
Yeah.
Also, in the background of the website, I'm seeing the Gable film, which is probably something we should talk about. It's like one of the most I guess compelling, with quotation marks or around it, piece of evidence for the Dogman. But that has also been something that's been found to be faked, and I believe the people that made it were found as well. But it's supposed to be a video of the Dogman getting up and running away from the camera. It's all, in classic Bigfoot style, where it's all shaky and you can't really make anything out.
Right.
The video is garbage to me, honestly. Like, it does. Dogman doesn't even come in until like the last maybe 30 seconds of the video.
Really?
It's like just a bunch of snowmobiling, like people on snowmobiles like driving around, and then it randomly cuts to somebody like chopping wood out of nowhere, and then it cuts to someone like driving their truck, and on the side of the road is this like big dog-like thing. So he gets out of his car to like try to like get a better look at it. Mind you, the quality of the video is horrible, and like it's not stable at all, so you barely can see anything. And then you get like one little glimpse of it starting to run at the person, and then the person panics and gets back in their car, and that's all you get to see. You barely can like make out what it looks like.
Interesting.
The fact that there's cuts in the video just makes me think that it was like just some sort of either a hoax, or maybe like someone trying to make their own little monster movie or something, because like, why would there be, if you found evidence of a creature that you weren't sure what it is, why would you cut together other bits of the video into it? Why wouldn't you just have that and then send that around, or have that be shown?
Yeah. And the three of us have kind of a video background, and it's so easy to fake something for video.
Oh,
right.
And you can fake shakiness. You can actually just physically shake the camera to make it look like you're just walking around. Like, you can do so many things with stuff that was around when the video was taken in the 70s. Like this could be very easily faked, and like you said, the fact that there's cuts, whoever put it together obviously knew how to put video together and edit that. So there's probably some indication that maybe there was some fakery going on.
I want to share the OnStar story.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is an audio recording, so we'll start it.
I'll read the description first.
Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll play it for the listeners.
Okay. So, the famous Dogman OnStar attack occurred in Troy, Michigan, back in 2006. A man was driving down the road when suddenly what he described as great big dog that was standing up appeared before him. He instinctively swerved to miss the creature. Apparently it ran out in front of him and ended up running off the road and flipping the vehicle over on its side. He and his passenger were not injured, and he was able to get assistance through OnStar. And here's the OnStar recording.
OnStar emergency. This is Kyle speaking. How can I help you? Hello?
Something just ran in front of us on the road. We're in the ditch. We rolled over.
How many people are in the car, and is anyone injured?
There's two of us. I don't think we have any injuries.
Is the car on its top or wheels or what?
No, it's kind of sitting on its side.
Hold one moment, please, while I contact emergency services.
Okay.
Okay, the state police should be on their way in a few minutes. Is everyone still okay?
Yeah, I think we're okay.
What ran in front of you? A deer?
I don't know what the hell it was, but it was big. It looked like a great big dog. Standing up.
Was it a bear, maybe?
Maybe, oh my God.
Sir? Hello? Are you still there? Sir?
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Riveting.
creepy for sure.
It is
Yeah.
creepy. But it's just so hard to take anything for face value, though, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Everything can be faked. Do we know the source on that? Like, was there a news article, or was that just posted to the internet?
This is from ranker.com. It's just a website with a bunch of different Dogman encounter stories.
Okay.
I'm going to look at more into finding the actual OnStar thing.
Yeah, that, as scary as that sounds,
Like, it's believable until that last part where something barks or, like, growls and, like, they scream.
Right,
That's
yeah.
what makes me feel like it's kind of faked. I don't
Yes.
know.
Yeah, especially if the call made the end call noise and the operator kept
It's still
trying to talk.
Right, yeah.
Like if he is a worker of OnStar on their call center, he would know what that sound is, and that means, like, why would he start?
Right, that's where it kind of gives me like the storytelling kind of vibe, or like the film vibe, where
Right, someone made up a story.
yeah, you put in a little bit something that makes the story makes it more creepy, but doesn't make sense in the real world.
Right, and you kind of want the story to be true, but at the same time, you don't, because if it is true, then those two people might have gotten hurt, or
Right.
And it's
Oh,
really
they did.
interesting.
They did.
They did, for sure. I do have one. It's this is an account from a sheriff responding to an animal disturbance call, and it's very, very intense. So I'll go ahead and play that now.
I got a call. I worked in a rural county for about 50 miles west of D.C. Of an unknown animal disturbance. And our animal control was off duty. So it was like 8:30 at night. And our game wardens, they cover like 2 counties. No one was available. They sent out to the call. It was pretty deep into the county. It was a rural road. Probably took about 20 minutes to get there. I thought it could have been a bear. Our dispatcher wasn't too clear what it was. Inclination was large, possibly a bear in the area. So I had my shotgun, brought it out with me. I knocked on the trailer. There was other trailers around. It was an older trailer in a real rural area. It wasn't very lit. I made contact with the complainant at the trailer. Basically, it said there was some sort of animal or something near their porch, making a lot of noise, scratching, and whatever the guy said, he didn't think it was a bear. I said, what do you think it was? I don't know. It was just really big, and it was not a bear. I only saw it for like a second. He was terrified. I'm very familiar with bears. Most bears are going to run away, make noise, they go away. They're going to go scratching on your trailer. If there's no garbage or anything like that around. There's nothing right near his trailer. There was no garbage right there. So I asked them to keep everybody inside. If you have any dogs or anything, keep them inside. Where are your closest neighbors? If you had any problems like this before, if you have any guns or anything like that, just keep everything inside. Let me check the area. I'll come back, knock on your door, and announce that I'm there. So I walked around the trailer, didn't see anything. This is probably about 8:30 at night. Pretty sure it was like November. The ground was very hard. There's a wood line probably about 50 feet to the left, almost parallel to the front of their trailer. Probably about 25 feet above that, I heard sound like a really hard rustling of leaves. It was pretty decent visibility with my tail light. I could see the leaves were falling, and I saw this object. Every bit of hair on the back of my neck stood up. Pretty much wasn't believing what I was seeing. It was literally, I lit it up, and it almost absorbed the light of my flashlight at first. It was probably between 8 and 9 feet tall. It was just literally a foot inside the wood line. What I remember the most about it, it had the longest forearms I've ever seen in my entire life. It was black. I saw one pointed ear. Didn't look anything like a bear. It wasn't chunky like a bear. It was extremely wide. As it started to go away from me, I was lighting it up. I noticed it almost had a taper to its back. Didn't notice a tail or anything like that. I just quickly flashed down to the legs. It looked like they were bent like a dog's legs would be. And I just put it right back up. And this thing just kept walking. It didn't slow down, didn't hesitate, didn't turn my way. I lit it right on the side of its face. And it didn't even look at me. It's like I didn't even exist or didn't even care. I have a shotgun in one hand. I'm trying to line it up under my shotgun with one hand, and I got my shotgun in the other hand. So I'm kind of moving it with my shotgun so I can see what I'm firing if I had to. And basically, evidently I lost track of it for a second where it moved fast. I heard leaves rustling, but I lost track of it. I literally walked towards inside the wood line. It was about 45 feet from the trailer. And I was very, very scared at the time. And I didn't see anything. There was bushes in another deeper forested area, probably about 100 feet away from that. It was probably the scariest I've ever been in my entire life. I was so scared. Eventually when I got back to my car, I got extremely nauseous and I couldn't stop shaking. I went back to the trailer. There was no footprints. I've been in the woods. I've worked for environmental conservation in a different state. I didn't see any foot impressions. This thing literally had the longest forearms I've ever seen, and it was like a curled up claw. And I noticed that brushing against the tree. That's what scared me more than anything, because it's the way this thing's forearms were. Bears don't look like that. Bears don't walk like that. And like I said, I saw one ear sticking up. It was like a tufted ear. It looked like it was a tufted ear. I can't say it looked like a Doberman like a lot of people say these things were. It was sticking up with a big head, and it had a muzzle. Without exaggeration, it was at least 8 inches long. Bren, he was parallel to the trailer, but he was probably like maybe 20 feet going away. I lit him up. He didn't even care I was there. It was like it didn't even matter. I mean, it was very startling. I'd already racked my shotgun, and my finger was right on the button to take off from safety. I was startled to death. I didn't even think about shooting it, to be honest with you. I was petrified at the thought of shooting it. My biggest fear was it coming back. The biggest thing I've ever seen in my life.
So what do you think about that?
That's pretty spooky, pretty believable.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, especially coming from, a sheriff. You can't trust law unless they actually are telling the truth.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, do we have any last thoughts about the Dogman?
We should jump back into, Dogman versus Barefoot.
Barefoot.
What did I say?
Barefoot.
Cut that.
You said barefoot.
Bigfoot. My bad.
So, what do you think, Dogman versus Bigfoot?
Well, I just read online that there's there's more Dogman encounters in Michigan than Bigfoot, so I don't know. I feel like I believe Dogman more kind of than Bigfoot, and plus recently I haven't really heard anything about Bigfoot, so I think it's kind of like falling out,
Bigfoot doesn't have the clout he used to.
Though I like going back to what we were talking about earlier with the Sasquatch and Dogman being like spirits. To me, that is believable.
I mean, it really. I mean, all the different encounters and things. All these different people who said, when I see it, who have said that they've seen Dogmen or the Dogman or a Bigfoot, that it doesn't interact with them really. It just kind of keeps doing what it's doing. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of a spirit. Is a spirit just keeps doing what it was doing in its normal, what it did when it was alive. And so the fact that that sheriff shone a light on it just kept walking, or any other encounter story that you hear where it just kind of looks and then keeps walking, it kind of makes it seem like a plausible explanation.
Absolutely. And personally, I just think Dogman's a little cooler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Dogman could beat up Bigfoot any day.
Yeah. My Dogman can beat your Dogman up.
My Dogman's got more power than your Bigfoot.
No, but my Bigfoot's power is over 9,000.
Too old. Too old of a reference.
I know. We're too old, guys. We're not hip with the young kids.
We all talk in lol speak. Oh my god.
So I think that's gonna wrap.
Oh wait,
Oh what?
we should share. Do either of you have any like stories or like of not encounters of Dogman, but like encounters in the wild of like animals or something that spooked you? Because I have a couple, but
Yeah, why don't you
I was
go ahead
hoping
and
you
tell
guys
your
would have
story,
some.
and then
Okay.
we'll go from there.
So should I disclose the location that I was at? Do you think?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Actually, one was at my house, so cut that too.
Cut that.
I mean, they don't know where my house is. So I was like, it was like later, I had my friend over at my house, and it was like nighttime, and I live like surrounded by trees, literally like in a forest basically. And we just wanted to like walk in the woods like late at night because we were like young and thought it was cool. And that was like when I first found out about Slender Man too, so I was like already like scared shitless, you know. And we were walking, and we barely even got like to where the woods actually like really start, and like we heard this giant like screech, and we just like took off running back to the house. We later confirmed with my dad that it was probably like an owl or something, but it was like loud for an owl. Like I've never heard an owl screech that loud, you know. And then my second one, me, my brother, and my cousin were all hiking in Houghton Lake at like this like nature reserve park thing, but it had like a frisbee or disc golf course too. So we were playing disc golf, and all of a sudden we heard like sticks and branches breaking, and like some like cat-like thing just hissed and growled at us, and we think it was like a mountain lion. So we like ran back to the car. It was like maybe a half-mile run, and like we didn't know where it was. We didn't see it at all. We just heard the sticks breaking, and it just like hissed and growled at us. So
Dang.
I'm just waiting for one day Dogman gonna attack me or something.
You have bad luck with this.
Yeah.
No, honestly, because I live in a very like wooded area too, and like for as much as like as a kid how much I went out in the woods, and even me and my friends, we would try to go find like spooky stuff at night or during the day or anything. Like I've never really had anything too like scary. I mean, we've always had like rustling and stuff like around the woods, like in when it's dark out around us that like we couldn't really see or figure out what it was, but never anything scary. One time at my house, me and my mom were just sitting there, and all of a sudden we just hear this thing that just sounds like a girl screaming, and like it wasn't just once, it just kept going, like the same kind of like sound, and we were like, that, like, what is that? Like we couldn't tell if it was like someone outside of our house just like messing with us, or like a recording that they were playing at us or something. And so I knew already that bobcats made a sound that kind of sound like screaming, but I looked it up and that didn't sound the same as what we heard, and so I kept looking into different animals that might make that noise, and I finally found it was a fox that was making the noise, but still it sounded human. It was strange.
Yeah. I seen online that some people describe Dogman's sound kind of like an infant like screaming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. Like
a baby?
Yeah.
And that kind of reminds me of that movie Annihilation with the bear. Have either of you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
The concept of the movie Annihilation, there's this area where like DNA is like being rewritten actively, and this demon-like bear killed one of the previous one of the characters, and when it attacks again, its growl has changed to like a distorted version of her voice as she's like screaming for help. and it is very spooky.
So like the Predator, kinda.
Kinda, yeah, but like not intentional.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
Weird,
yeah.
creepy.
You know, I wish there were more Dogman movies, like actual feature films. Because when I was thinking about it, like that whole encounter back in 1887 with the lumberjacks would make a really cool movie.
Oh yeah.
And-
Which, I was just putting in my fun fact that that movie was filmed right next to where I live, and my friend's dad is a paramedic in it. The one movie that was made that isn't very good, but we watched it anyways because his dad was in it.
That's great. That's great.
He says like 2 lines, and he was really excited about it.
You know, it's a fun story, and it's fun to talk about, and especially it's one that is not really talked about a lot. So
Right,
it's
yeah.
nice to talk about something that is kind of a new experience for a lot of people.
Yeah, especially something that is very Michigan based. You know, there's not. I mean, there's a lot that comes out of Michigan, but there's not a lot of, very like folklore and things like that come out of Michigan. So it's cool to have something that is based around us.
Absolutely.
Actually, never mind. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of folklore that comes out around Michigan. Mackinac Island's haunted.
Yep.
Detroit's got the Detroit Devil. Never mind. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that just comes from how closely this area is tied to Native American culture.
Yeah, definitely.
Every other city is a Native American word, and there's several Native American reservations around here. Michigan itself is a Native American word, so it's just something that's really steeped into the local culture, and I just find that exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Lots of folklores.
Yep, and we will talk about a lot of them if we can.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we can just like go into like a whole Native American episode, like all the.
And try as hard as we can not to offend anyone.
Yeah, maybe not do that.
Yeah. So I think that is what we have for today. This is Gamma signing off.
This is the Nose signing off.
This is Slick signing off.
See you all next century. Gotta throw the government off. They don't know now.